Good morning, Wisconsin. It's great to be here with you. I guess almost afternoon. Governor, thank you very much for that introduction. And Senator Tammy, thank you very much for the introduction, those kind words as well. Thank you for what you do in Washington, and we're going to do what we can to get you back in there and do the people's work. But thank you all for what you do, Tammy Baldwin. We really appreciate your work on the Hill. Just a couple weeks ago, I was scheduled to appear here at the same venue, and you guys had blowing snow. It was, I think right before we made the decision to scrub our flight up here that day, it was like 28 degrees, and I think the visibility at the airport was like half a mile in blowing snow. Much different today, so it's very good to be here, but I felt it important to come by here in person. I really did. Wisconsin is going to be one of those battleground states that we're going to be talking a lot about this year. And while we're talking about this year, we're talking about this election, and I think this is going to be. You've heard this said by a lot of different people. I think this is going to be probably the most important election this country has ever faced. I really do. There's a lot on the line, and what you're hearing from the candidates out there is a lot of name calling, a lot of name calling. Um, I hear it all the time. I hear just name calling back and forth, and what you're going to hear from me today are my ideals, my vision for a Rogers administration. I'm not into name calling. I never have been in that. What I want is an open discussion of the issues facing our country, because we have so many issues facing our nation, and they need to be addressed. Um, so again, it's a delight to be here finally in person, and good to be with all the folks of Wisconsin, one of my favorite states, and one of the reasons is because I'm a big lover of cheese. You come up to Washington, you'll see the refrigerator stocked full of cheese. I love Wisconsin, and that's one of the reasons I love it. One of the many reasons, but anyway, I digress. As we gather here today, I come before you not just as a candidate, but as a steadfast advocate for our shared vision of a brighter future. These past 3 years have tested our nation's resolve like never before. From the unprecedented challenges of a global pandemic, the deepening divides that threaten our unity, we have faced trials that have pushed us to our limits. Yet, in the face of adversity, we have shown resilience and strength, proving time and time again that the American spirit cannot be broken. During this time, we have achieved remarkable progress, witnessing a significant reduction in unemployment from a staggering 15% to an impressive just a little over 3%. But think about this. Think about this. Almost at this time 4 years ago, we wouldn't be in this building right here tonight, or today, I should say. I should say today. We would not be in this building. We would be sheltered at home. Unemployment was 15%. Millions were without work. The economy was on the brink. Now look where we're at. But let's not rest on our laurels. As your future leader, I'm committed to overhauling our unemployment system to ensure that every American has access to the opportunities they need to thrive. No longer will this system be susceptible to exploitation or leave our fellow citizens behind. Instead, we will create a robust framework that empowers individuals and strengthens our economy from the ground up. And 4 years ago, a lot of us were forced out of work. We were forced unemployment. And we had to do that. Like I said, if the payroll protection program, PPD or PPP, had not been passed by the Congress, our economy would collapse. I'm firmly convinced of that. As a result of that, as a result of these unemployment payments, there are some people who never returned to work. Now, I get it. I understand that during that time, there's a lot of time for reevaluation of our life, what we do. And some of us went off and did different jobs. But some of us still stayed at home collecting unemployment while the rest of us went back to work. Under my administration, that will not happen. That will not happen. Enhanced unemployment will mandate that you must have 5 job interviews a week. There'll be no more sitting on the couch collecting a weekly weekly check for unemployment. You'll be out hitting the streets looking for a job, and that's for every able-bodied American. And when I say that, I'm not talking about our retired folks. They've earned that. Well done. I'm not talking about our stay-at-home parents. They made those arrangements. That's fine. I'm talking about the people who never returned to the workforce and are capable of doing it. That time is over now. It's time to get back to work. For 4 years, I've talked about a 3% unemployment rate. When I first came in, I talked about a goal of a 3% unemployment rate. You watched it every month. It went 3.6, 3.5, 3.4, up a little bit more. It never got to 3%. I firmly believe by enacting enhanced unemployment, it will get to 3%. It will get to 3%. In another part of our country, part of our society that fell victim to the pandemic is our education. It's the cornerstone of our nation's future. We must recognize that we need to invest in our education system. Our classrooms are the foundation of our children's success, and it is imperative that we provide our teachers with the resources they need to educate and inspire the next generation. My Back to Basics education plan will support teachers, provide quality education, and prepare students for success in the 21st century economy. You think about it. Teachers invest so much into their careers. They invest so much into their students. But yet, half of them don't make a livable wage. There's so many teachers that are on the poverty level or below the poverty level. How is that fair? How is that fair at all? Think about it, Wisconsin. Every morning, I know this is true back in Texas, but every morning at 7:30, you drop off your most prized possession to a school. And it's your hope at 3:15 when you pick them back up again, or whatever your dismissal time is, you pick them back up again, that they're smarter. But you are entrusting your most prized possession to an individual who lives below the poverty level. Now, I'm not saying that hurts the quality of it. It does impact the quality of education, I believe, a little bit. What if we paid the teachers a livable wage? A livable wage. Back to Basics will do that. I'm asking for a $1.75 trillion increase in the education department budget. And I firmly believe by doing this, and before you think it's another Washington power grab, it's not. What we're going to do is we're going to send this money to the states. The states will disperse the money to the districts. Now, think about this. In an average district with 300 teachers, based on the 1.75 trillion that we're going to ask for, I know that's a hefty amount of money, but what we're going to ask for, based on that 1.75 trillion, the average pay will be $500,000. $500,000. Think about that. Now, and it's not going to be a power grab. We're providing the funding So, and the states will in turn distribute the funding to the districts. One other thing that I want to expand in this program is um, is extended maternity leave, and I know that's a big issue in our country. There's only 9 states in our nation that offer 6 weeks maternity leave. A story in the paper I read this morning on the way over talks about a teacher who took 4 weeks because she took what her district had: 4 weeks maternity leave and back to school. Not the correct bonding time to have with your newborn. I want to see us extend that um, uh, to extend that. There's only 9 states, like I said, offer 6 weeks. And I think we should offer 6 weeks on the Back to Basics program. Bundle that together with the pay increase, the incentive, and you do that. You make education more attractive. A lot of times, education people get an education for the lure of the vacations, and they think a lot of times that teaching is 7:15 to 3:45 and you're out the door. What they don't realize, and I know personally, being married to an educator for almost 29 years, I know from a fact that is a 80 to 100 hour a week job. It's more than walking in at 7:15, walking out at 3:45. It's nights on the computer grading papers. It's doing progress reports, doing report cards. It's meet the teacher nights. It's PTA. It's PSCs. It's it's everything. All the extra things that you don't think about that teacher does, and all for an income that is below the poverty level. My friends in Wisconsin, our teachers deserve more. They deserve more. And under my administration, they will get more. Additionally, I stand firm in my belief of a woman's right to make her own reproductive choices. We must protect access to comprehensive reproductive health care and support women in making the best decisions for themselves and their families. This means fighting back against efforts to restrict access to essential healthcare services and ensuring that every woman has the freedom to control her own body and future. And I firmly believe that. I'll tell you this, and I'll kind of qualify this. I believe I believe that taking a life is wrong. And I'll say that I believe that taking a life is wrong, but I also believe in a person's right to choose. The Constitution says that too, and there's so many states that are going that are going to ban that are going to ban abortion, and I'm going to do what it takes to see that Roe v. Wade becomes the law of the land once again. We must give women the right to choose. It's the right thing to do in this country. You know, and I was talking about teachers and their pay, talking about, and this couples into this next subject, talking about the exorbitant cost of prescription drugs have burdened far too many hardworking families across our nation. It's time to stand up to the powerful pharmaceutical companies and fight for affordable health care for all Americans. And I say this because one of my dear friends back in Texas is a teacher. Matter of fact, she's just been hospitalized for illness. She's been off work for a while now, and on top of that, she has to pay hundreds of dollars for a prescription that not that she wants, but she needs. How is somebody, and again, I'm just generalizing this for a teacher, how is this fair for a person who lives at a poverty level to pay $700 a prescription for their medicine? That's not right. There's a commercial, and I'm not going to push what product it is. There's a commercial. It's on TV, and I haven't really seen it lately. But this older gentleman, You might see where I'm going to with this. This older gentleman talks about how this certain medicine at the drugstore costs $496, but through this company, it costs $43. Why can't that be the standard across this country? You got big pharma making billions of dollars in profits. It's time to turn those billions into profits back to the customer and help the customer survive. Help them survive. And as your advocate, I will work tirelessly to lower drug prices, increase transparency, and ensure that no one has to choose between putting food on the table and filling their prescriptions. That should never be a choice. That should never be a choice. And I think about around the holidays back at my home in Texas, and even just some times in the off season, I say off season for the holidays, but during let's say around Easter or during the summertime, occasionally there's a food bank across the street from where we live. Cars are lined up, and to me, that's unacceptable. That means there's a problem that we've got to solve in our country. And I think increasing teacher pay and lowering prescription drug costs will help this situation. We stand at a very exciting time in our nation's history. As we embrace the transition to electric vehicles, we must also recognize the need to invest in our infrastructure to support it. This shift, the future of transportation is electric, and we must ensure that our roads, charging stations, and power grids are ready to meet the demands of tomorrow. By investing in clean energy infrastructure, we not only create jobs and stimulate economic growth, but also pave a way for a sustainable future for generations to come. And I'm going to make you this commitment here, Wisconsin, and I've said this many times over the past few months. There's candidates in this election that are pledging 20 years, pledging 30 years until that they convert to EVs. Under my administration, we will not convert to EVs until the infrastructure in this country is ready, and not a day before. Not a day before. Story. My home in Texas, hometown, 36,500 people live in our city. And there may be more. I'm not saying there's not. There may be more, but I know of one charging station at a restaurant with 4 charging ports for 36,500 people. We're not ready. And we won't convert to all EVs in this nation under my administration until we are ready to do it. But the EV challenge, the education challenge, that's part of what we're dealing with. But our challenges extend beyond our borders. We must secure our borders and reestablish order to protect our nation's security. This means investing in smart, effective border security measures that keep our communities safe while upholding our values as a nation of immigrants. And additionally, the fentanyl crisis continues to devastate communities across our country, claiming lives and tearing families apart. We cannot afford to stand idly by while this epidemic rages on. As your leader, I will take decisive action to combat the spread of fentanyl, increase access to addiction treatment facilities and recovery services, and hold those responsible for its production and distribution accountable. I will do that. You think about the fentanyl and what comes into our country. There's been enough fentanyl that's come into our nation, enough to kill every single American in this country. Think about it. Enough fentanyl to wipe everybody out in this room here today. All of Wisconsin, all of the United States. We have to solve this. But it begins in reestablishing our borders. And under my administration, we will do that. In the Middle East, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains a deeply entrenched and complex issue that demands our attention. I firmly believe in a two-state solution where Israel and Palestine can coexist in peace and security. It's time to bring an end to the decades of conflict and work towards a brighter future for all. You know, um, and we can. I know that there's been many presidents who have occupied the White House who have tried to have peace in the Middle East. I can name a lot right off the bat. But I firmly believe we have a chance to make this happen. This has been the conflict in the Middle East has been going on since the beginning of time. I firmly believe in a two-state solution, and I believe that the Israelis and the Palestinians can coexist with each other. I really believe that. Together, and I say all of us, together we can restore patriotism and reinforce the fundamentals that make our nation great. This isn't just a campaign, but a movement to restore the greatness of the United States of America. And it really is. The other day, my wife and I were watching TV back in Washington, and she said, Richard, you don't live in Ronald Reagan's America anymore. And she's right. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not saying that she's right to avoid argument, but she really is, because you think about that. In his America, everybody stood up for the flag. In his America, I remember dearly. That was the first political campaign I got involved in way back in '84. But people sing that. You remember that famous Lee Greenwood song, "God Bless the USA"? That was playing on the radio. People were saluting the flag. People were proud to be an American. If we go back to those days of being proud to be an American, a lot of the problems our nation is confronting can be fixed if we come together as one. If we come together as one. So I ask for your support, your vote, and your partnership in this journey towards a stronger, more united nation. And I want to close on this. There's been a previous occupant of the White House who had this beautiful painting in the Oval Office. A painting by a fellow Texan by the name of Tom Lee. Tom writes about this painting. It's called Near El Paso. It's a beautiful, gorgeous painting of the El Paso Mountains. You ever been out to El Paso? There's a lot of mountains out there. But he writes about how him and his wife Sarah live on the east side of the mountain. For it's living on the east side of the mountain that they can see the sunrise of the day ahead and not the sunset of the day behind. There's so many candidates in this election that are talking about that the United States is living on the west side of the mountain. They're seeing the great days behind them. I firmly believe the United States lives on the east side of the mountain, and our best days are ahead of us if we come together and come together as one. Wisconsin, I thank you very much. I really, truly thank you. May God bless you. May God bless our troops, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.